Welcome to MMO Grinder Backtrack, where I take a look at games I've reviewed previously to check out what's new. Today in January of 2017, I'll be revisiting Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard's take on the MOBA and attempt to make an esport before Overwatch caught on far better for that. This revisit was also spurred on thanks to a code provided by Blizzard via Octoly, the same company that sent me that parrot drone a few years back. So, if what I'm about to say in this revisit is now codified in your eyes, you do you. While core mechanics haven't gone anywhere, Heroes was a contender for my favorite MOBA based on the sheer variety of maps available, with none of them just being set dressing. And the nostalgia-bombing love letter to Blizzard shines ever forth in their collection of new maps, starting with the two StarCraft-themed maps that seemed woefully absent from the game when I first played it. Warhead Junction is a simple tower, lane, and core map, with the added bonus of having warheads spawn in locations, and allowing players to collect them and use them to call down nuclear strikes on enemies and lane structures to speed along your pushes. Brax's Holdout is a space station under Zerg Siege, where the opposing teams can capture point beacons to summon Zerg swarms and attack the enemy base. Once one team has reached 100% with their beacon, all the collected Zerg are then unleashed. More maps have been added as well, with Infernal Shrines, a map where you'll battle enemies on a point to gain the favor of a Punisher, who will then hunt heroes and push lanes for you. Lost Cavern, a one-lane map, good for forced team fights. And my favorite of the new ones, Towers of Doom. In that map it follows a three-lane tradition, with a major exception. You cannot attack the opponent's core directly, as the base is impossibly fortified, and anyone entering it will be cut down by a hail of arrows within seconds. Instead, you claim altars as they spawn to cause your bell towers to fire directly onto the opponent's base. You can cut down your opponent a peg as well by taking down their bell towers and turning them to your side, or by killing the Headless Horseman boss to give some more direct damage to the opposing team's core. An arena mode map was also added, called Punisher Arena, and based slightly on Infernal Shrines. While hot smashes were always thankfully shorter than most other MOBAs, arena matches tend to last under 10 minutes, and will depend on how many rounds you go, as it's a best 2 of 3 rounds. In this map, kills will earn your team points, and your character options are limited to what ult you want. 2 Punishers will take turns fighting each other or your team, while you work to destroy the enemy's Punisher and its teammates. First to 100 points will net you the round. A new play mode was added in the form of Brawl mode, which chooses an arena per week, and changes up the rules within it, like letting you choose from a random pool of 3 heroes, and creating special map conditions. From what I'd seen, this mode is PvP only, but the random factor can make or break it for you. Many characters have gone under a lot of reworks. 2 of my former favorites, Falstad and Nova, now feel like complete garbage, while Osmodon is still as fun as I remember him. This is due to a lot to how the abilities have been rearranged, with some modifiers being replaced, moved further down the line, or just being removed altogether. Some of the ability modifier options, usually among your first choices, are quests, where you'll be required to perform an action to power up that specific move, or gain a bonus ability or stat. Of course, since my time playing, there have been a ton of new heroes added. The most recent, as of my playing this, is Zul'jin, but Valeera is next on the list. A massive block of Diablo heroes have been added, with representatives of many of the player classes, and of course well-known NPCs and monsters like King Leoric and the Butcher. With a new Blizzard property to pull from, some Overwatch characters made it in as well, with Tracer appearing shortly before the launch of Overwatch, and granted for free to owners of the Overwatch Origins Edition, and the more recent edition of Zarya. While their move kits are based fairly heavily on their abilities from Overwatch, they still take a ton of liberties with how they work, of course, and it makes me wonder if it wouldn't be a little bit more fun to just have some side characters from Overwatch appear in the game instead of just the playable roster. Since Hot seems big on the death in their universe grants them passage to the Nexus trope for more than a few of their characters, maybe Mondada or Harold Winston can have some time to shine. However, the biggest addition to a very unique feeling roster comes in the form of Chogall, the game's first 2-player hero. In order to play Chogall, 2 team members must choose Cho and Gall, with Cho having character control and melee moves, while Gall is attached to Cho as his second head, and is able to cast magic at other players like a turret. Chogall shares a combined massive health pool, a combined name that clashes together the username of you and your teammate, and is an interesting risk in that you're essentially turning your team into a 4v5. Combine Chogall with Abathur for the ultimate match of what the hell were we thinking? Speaking of what were they thinking, Blizzard basically turned what was once my favorite MOBA, with no forced sense of individual glory and toxicity, into one with a KDA system and a splash screen that announces an MVP and match awards a la Overwatch. GG to toxicity, but I'll be honest, I didn't see too many shouting matches going on, though running into ping-happy armchair generals is still a pretty common PvP occurrence. Whatever side you sit on, be it that a kill-death ratio is nothing more than a kill-steal encouraging last-hit tracker, or a true measure of player ability, it looks like the old takedown system is never coming back, and the MVP and match awards means that the precious individual glory is ever more front and center for potential players' strife. Enjoy the useless digital trophies, I hope they choke on them. As bitter as I am about this, and my main series co-writer Dresker refuses to play this game again until KDA is removed, Heroes of the Storm still remains one of the more charming and creative MOBAs I've played, and I still have quite a blast coming back to it. Ragnaros alone was worth the revisit, and the game is still highly recommended by me. I'll be sure to check back with this game and others in more episodes of MMO Grinder Backtrack. Oh yeah, Dragon Shrine is still my least favorite map, everyone hates it when Abathur is picked, and the game still contains the most ridiculously expensive heroes in the entire genre. Some things never change.